Hello, and I'm the mid-grid masochist. Today, we have another Reddit no sleep. I skimmed it, not gonna lie, and I was like, oh no. But I'm gonna give it a chance, because it gives me a little bit of PTSD, which I'm sure you will be able to relate. So, here we go. Story is called Warning, Do Not Go Outdoors If You Have a Headache. There will be no emergency alert from the government. This post is all you'll have, and you must read it immediately because it will vanish soon. On Monday, the 10th of February, half of my town's inhabitants awoke and find themselves afflicted with a headache. And we treated it as a commonplace outbreak of the winter flu. Much like the ever-elusive snow day, the town cold, or one per annum staple of the season in both cases. Adults despair, and opportunistic school children treasure that day off of school. My point is that an outbreak of the flu is nothing out of the ordinary in our town. But it isn't the flu. Right then and there, I need to take a second because I have like PTSD, COVID kind of things coming from this. Which nobody wants to even hear that word. We're so beaten to death by that whole entire situation we all went through. But I want to give it a chance because it is on top Reddit. If it's on top Reddit, then apparently it's not making people upset. So we'll see where it goes. And it isn't just confined to this town. It's everywhere. The headache's consequential phenomenon, which began on Tuesday the 12th February, made both of those things painfully clear. We should have known. Nobody felt as if they had the flu. There was no congested noses, no sputtering coughs, not even a stray sneeze. Only headaches. The mystery of the town headache was a hot topic in our local eatery on the morning of the commute. And even at the work. One bus passenger jested that a Smari Mayor Opalette kitchen setup which features a whopping 10 stoves might have leaked enough carbon monoxide to poison the entire town. I get it, they're really grasping at straws trying to figure out what's going on. And two of my colleagues had a particular unsettling conversation about the supposed sickness. Steven said, I had a migraine before, but this is something else. Even my ears are throbbing. I'm half convinced that my brain is about to slip out of them. Do you think that's something going around? Asked Paul. I suppose, but it's curious that we only have headaches, Steven replied. Paul shrugged. Well, that's how it always starts. I'm sure we'll see more symptoms tomorrow. And we did. I was awoken around 6 on Tuesday morning by a barbed screech from the street. It was agonizingly melodic, much like the second voice which accompanied it 10 seconds later. A baritone yell to the bottom out of the soprano shriek. Both sounds somehow drowned out the roar of torrential downpour. The rainfall hadn't been enough to wake me before my morning alarm, but the screams certainly did. I had an overwhelming urge to stay in bed, to do anything but draw back the curtains covering my bedroom window. There were no words to encapsulate my dread. Weighty and doughy, it stuck to the walls of my gut, threatening to never let go. Not until I had an answer, at least. But that was a lie. Dread gave way to horror when I opened the drapes to gaze at the rainy cul-de-sac. On the other side of the road, watched by their blubbering son on the front yard, there were two sing-song shriekers, Mr. and Mrs. Crowley. Okay. And they were rising into the air. It seemed impossible, impossibly, as if the fundamental laws of physics have turned a blind eye, made an exception. My neighbors were ascending, rocketing upwards, flailing their arms and legs fearfully as the ground drove away from them. The harder they tried to swim back down to the dirt, the faster the higher powers seemed to pull them away. I blinked disbelievingly, hoping that the scene outside of my window would change once I cleaned the gunk from my eyes. I hoped that a snar version of reality would reveal itself. But it was no trick, no illusion. When I opened my eyes, Mr. and Mrs. Crawley have risen higher still, and their forms, unfastened from the earthly forces, showed no sign of slowing. They had climbed higher than the houses of our town, floating away from the soil and their crying sun. Those two wet, mushy masses below. The Crowleys' mouths were hanging wide open to unleash those hauntingly melodic notes, one low, the other high. And as they started to claw their hands at their grasping jaws, I considered something horrifying. That their bodies were disobeying not only the laws of gravity, but any conscious commands to stop the screaming. And that something else might be conducting their vocal cords to produce those musical notes. Then my own scream loudened as I noted more bodies in the distance, rising like Mr. and Mrs. Crowley, floating upwards from adjacent residential streets and disappearing into the clouds, never coming down. For a few minutes during that inceptive period, social media posts flourished. There was evidence of the phenomenon online, not just here, but in countries across the world. Minor incidents in minor places, perhaps, but it was a global event. You have to believe me. People began floating upwards, and within a matter of 5 minutes, they had disappeared beyond the clouds, much like their choir symphony of terror. Every ascending person reported a headache the day before. By 6:10 a.m., shortly after the bodies vanished, posts vanished too. Posters vanished. I know how it sounds, but you'll find no tinfoil hat on my swollen head. It's real. It happened. And the Crawley boy has been standing in the lawn and crying all day. Nobody's going to help him. I think we're all, those of us who remain, too afraid to go outside. And now it's going to happen again. And I know it's going to happen again. My head started throbbing. It is a feeling like no other. The pain, I mean. The headache comes with a persistent pressure. Cracks sound in my head. Speckles skitter across my eyes. My brain balloons. Would it be more terrifying to float off into space with no way of binding myself back to Earth? Or to float into some supernatural abyss? Could this be the rapture itself? I don't know what happened to the ascenders, you see, but I will soon. So this guy he just witnessed people ascending into the sky that reported a headache the day before. I thought it was going more towards like pandemic kind of thing, but it's definitely way more supernatural. I understand why people like this a lot more than what I expected. That's why you don't judge a book by its cover. But I do like the way it's written. There's a lot of good words in here, a lot of good descriptive sentences. It's fun to read, even though I tended to stumble a couple times here. Let's go ahead and finish it up here. I don't think there's much left. It's pretty short. I've been staring out my window for 4 hours, and my eyes sting. I don't think I've blinked in that time. I yearned for the outdoors. I yearn to be outside. But enough of my mind remains that I have the wisdom to post this warning. If you have a headache, stay home. Don't bother posting about your experience. Till the phenomenon hits major cities, I think any evidence will be suppressed, easily discounted as a lie, giving us that this is happening in such small places. But you'll know the truth soon enough. Hopefully, you'll only see it. You won't feel it behind your eyes as I do. But if you do feel your head pounding, and you live with someone, then beg that safe person to tie you down. You won't be able to resist the call. I'm terrified. My mouth is switching, and I feel a murmur building behind the back of my throat. Soon, I'll see what's above the clouds. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty short, but there was a movie that people were, maybe it was War of the Worlds, where they were sucking them up. It wasn't necessarily ascending to the clouds, but they were being like tractor beamed up to the sky or something. I'm not 100% sure, but it reminds me of something I can't put my finger on. Very good either way. Let me go ahead and give credit to Theeaglestrikes is his username. Looks like he's written some stuff before. He has the best single part story of 2023. I like it. It I don't know if that was the angle with putting the whole sickness thing in front of it just to kind of decoy it. It worked for me. I didn't see it coming. It was just going to be a supernatural ascending into the clouds thing. But very good. I appreciate everybody that watches these, and I appreciate everybody that listens. If you don't have time to watch, you can always just throw on the audio whenever you're driving and listen to it. It helps either way. But I am the mid-grid masochist, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.